Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is our January 8th regular meeting of the Mason County Commission. First, before I even start with anything, I want to welcome our new commissioner. We had an opportunity to work together yesterday for our briefings. Found her to be a very bright and a happy person, and I got to tell you, it was really nice for the first day. Let's hope it all continues that way, huh? With that, we will go ahead and move into the Pledge of Allegiance. Ted Trask is a veteran. Would you please do us the honor of leading us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ted. Ted is not only her husband, but he also served in the Air Force. Is that right? Thank you for your service. Roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Sharon Trask. Here.
Item number 4, correspondence and organizational business. Do we have correspondence to come before this body?
Yes, several items. South Mason Youth Soccer Club sent in recognition for the Mason County Parks, Facilities, and Trails Department. The Mason County Auditor sent in a report of for the number of registered voters in Mason County. Mason County Treasurer sent in depositaries designated by Treasurer. The Washington State Department of Transportation sent in a 60-day notice of disposition for declared surplus property number 42102-22-60000. Thomas Furness sent in a letter regarding land use at 21 Pine Tree Lane in Tahuya. The United States Department of Agriculture sent in a letter of funding opportunity. North Mason Chamber of Commerce sent in a letter following up on the implementation of newly adopted welfare BGA building codes. And finally, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, sent in a letter regarding the final flood hazard determination for the unincorporated areas of Mason County.
Thank you. Next up is a selection of chair and vice chair. If there's no objection, I would like to make a nomination. Any objection? I would like to nominate Kevin Schutte for chair for this next year.
Accept.
Second.
I would like to second.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded for the nomination of Kevin Schutte to represent Mason County as the chair of the commission for the 2019 year. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries. You are chair for the next year.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Well, I appreciate your nomination and support for serving as chair for 2019. Appreciate that. And with that, we will move into selection of vice chair. And I would like to make a nomination for vice chair. I'd like to nominate Commissioner Sharon Trask to serve in that position.
I will second. I don't know if you saw her face.
I promise to not take too much time off this year so as to allow you the opportunity to ease in to the vice chair role.
Can you commit to several months before
Oh, I'm committed.
Okay.
With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? And congratulations on vice chair. Okay, moving on to item 4.3, we have a recognition of the staff member. I'd like to invite Ross McDowell forward.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning indeed. I would like to bring forward to our Commissioners and to everybody here and on Mason Web TV, one of our employees is Tammy Wright. She works in emergency management with me, and she is our planner and our number 2 person there. And one of the things that we try to do is make sure that we get the proper training so that we can speak FEMA and do FEMA kind of work and everything for preparedness, for not only for our county, but for the county, but also for all of our people that live in our county and all the communities around. In November of 2018, Tammy received a certification and a certificate of achievement for the Advanced Professional Series, which is a series of training that we do. The first one is called just the Development Series. It's a 7-course series that you need to pass and get through that. and then the advance is a 10-course series. Tammy has completed both of those. So she received her certificate for the advanced professional series from FEMA and the independent study group there. And Tammy, I would like to say, is a very dedicated employee. As you know, there's myself and Tammy are our emergency management department. We stay very active on what's going on in the community. Weather-wise, definitely, especially this time of year, we're putting out some notifications, but we do a lot more with the preparedness part that people probably don't see and where we show up at. We show up pretty much everywhere. If they have any kind of event, we ask to be there to get the word out. And Tammy's always made herself available weekends, nights, whatever it is, just to get that word out that she really does care. I'd like to read a letter that came in from to Robert Ezell, who is in charge of the state emergency management. Came to him from Stephen Hacker, who is the deputy superintendent of the Emergency Management Institute. Dear Mr. Ezell, I am delighted to provide the enclosed certificate presentation to Tammy Wright, who has accomplished the Advanced Professional Series in Emergency Management. Completion of this series of courses is an accomplishment that distinguishes her as an emergency manager with substantial experience in emergency operations and management. By completing this series, she has demonstrated extraordinary dedication to the goal of protecting lives, communities, and the resources for disasters. Please convey my personal congratulations and best wishes on behalf of the National Preparedness Directorate and Emergency Management Institute from Stephen Hendrickson. So, Tammy's right here. I would like to congratulate her. It is an achievement that doesn't happen all the time. I know people that have done 20 years in emergency management that still haven't finished this and gotten through all of those trainings and this series. So, congratulations.
Tim, if you want to come up and maybe make a couple of remarks.
Probably wouldn't be censored, maybe. No.
7-second delay on Mason Web TV, so we're good.
I was a little surprised at this. I think Ross said he mentioned it to me, but I think I either didn't hear it or. But anyway, I have to say, having a manager like Ross that allows me to do that, I know the budget cuts have made it a little more difficult for us to attend these trainings, and it, leaves the office kind of open with nobody there, and he's really good at encouraging that and allowing us.
Commissioners, any comments?
Yes, Tammy, I would like to say well-deserved, and the fact that you work really, really hard for this county. You are a credit to our community, our county. You represent us well. Thank you so much for all the hard work you do for us.
I enjoy it. I enjoy working with the county and the residents. So, thank you.
Commissioner Rainey? Just a word of thanks to Tammy as well. I know that a lot of the work is done behind the scenes, and a lot of us are recipients of the alert emails and everything that you generate, and you really do provide a service that when things are going sideways out in the community, we do appreciate having those updates and alerts, and know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, that we're happy that Ross has brought this forward to recognize you for this great achievement, and just appreciate all your work, and hopefully it's a little bit more of a quiet winter going forward, but we know if anything does happen that we're in good hands.
You don't use a Q word.
But I knocked on wood.
I know.
Cancel it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tim.
Moving on to item 4.4, we have a news release, park host for Mason Lake Park. I invite Ross back up.
Good morning still. We have a news release that we're going to be putting out hopefully today, going out for a park host needed for Mason County Park for Mason Lake. We just had an opening. I'd like to read the news release if I could. Mason County Parks Department is recruiting an on-site park host / caretaker for Mason Lake Park. The successful candidate must provide their own RV and the county will provide water, power, and septic at no charge. Caretakers are responsible for the opening and closing of the park, site security, customer service, cleaning restrooms, and light maintenance duties in return for the utilities. There's no salary or pay associated with this opportunity. Mason County Parks and Trails is looking for a person who is willing to work nights, weekends, and holidays, and can physically make rounds in the park and have good communication and customer service skills, including the ability to remain calm and friendly when confronted with problems. Mason Lake Park is located in Greatview, Washington, and consists of 17.36 acres. The park has a dock and a boat launch that is very active, a boat trailer parking, nature areas, and restrooms. The caretakers need to be present in the evenings, Monday through Friday, and all day on the weekends during boating season. Please apply by completing the park host application located on the Mason County webpage at www.co.mason.wa.us/forms/parks/index.php. Easy to remember. Or you can contact Ann Boyce at 360-427-9670, extension 535, with any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Moving on to item number 5, this is our open forum for citizen input. It's an opportunity for members of the public to come forward and address the commission on items that are not on today's agenda. So we have a 15-minute total time limit, and ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes per person. As you come forward, the chair will recognize you for comments on items not on today's agenda. Sure.
Hello, Commissioners. Cheryl Wilkins. I'm here to announce the first meeting of the League of Women Voters next Tuesday from 12 to 1:30 at the Olympic College Library, Johnson Library. We're going to be speaking about the budget. So the county budget, that's our budget. We are going to have the budget committee, so people from the budget committee will have, you've been invited, and we'll have our own in-house study of the budget. So just putting that out there.
Great. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay. We move on to item number 6, which is adoption of today's agenda. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of today's agenda as presented.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda as presented. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And the motion carries. Item number 7, we have approval of minutes. We have minutes from December 4th and December 18th, 2018. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the December 4th and December 18th meeting minutes.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the December 4th and December 18th, 2018 minutes. Any additional discussion?
One correction, do we know if these are briefing minutes or regular?
Meeting minutes?
The regular meeting?
Yes.
Regular meetings.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And motion carries. Moves on to item number 8. This is the action agenda for today. Commissioners will read through the items on today's action agenda, at which time members of the public can ask questions in an effort to decide whether they want to have an item removed or not. And if it is removed, then we'll take a separate vote and comment on that particular item. As we read through, Commissioner Netherland, if you could please read item number 8.1. I will read item 8.2, and Commissioner Trask, if you please read items 8.3 and 8.4.
He did that on purpose.
It's just reading.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item number 8.1, approval to set a hearing for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, to receive public comment on establishing an honorary road sign program, allowing the county and community the opportunity to honor individuals or organizations that have made significant contributions to the county.
Item 8.2, approval to accept a resignation from James Ferris effective June 26, 2018, and to approve the release and hold harmless agreement to release and forever discharge Mason County, its officers, agents, employees, agencies, and departments from any and all existing and future claims, damages, and causes of action, foreseen and unforeseen, of any nature whatsoever arising out of Ferris's employment with Mason County, and to pay the sum of $40,000 as agreed.
Item 8.3, thank you. Approval of warrants and treasury electronic remittances. Claims Clearing Fund, warrant numbers 8061055 through 8061864 in the amount of $2,032,974.75. Direct Deposit Fund warrant numbers 55387 through 55751, $674,831.63. Salary Clearing Fund warrant numbers 7004117 through 7004143 in the amount of $465,677.27. Item 8.4, approval of voicing no objections to the special occasion liquor license application for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Olympia Chapter Big Game Banquet on January 19th, 2019 at Little Creek Casino, 91 West State Route 108, Shelton, Washington, 98584, and approval to authorize the chair to sign the letter of no objection to the Washington State Liquor Control Board.
Very good, thank you, Commissioners. Now that we have read through the items on today's action agenda, Commissioners, do you have any questions or any items that you would like removed for a separate vote? Hearings none. To members of the public, any questions or items you would like to have removed for a separate vote and discussion? Sure. 8.2 was a previously agreed upon mediation item. That this is just the conclusion of that.
Do you still require it to be taken off, or was that answered?
So I'll have our Chief Deputy Prosecutor.
It's a global resolution for any and all claims between Mr. Ferris, who was an employee with Mason County. It's a global resolution that settles all claims between Mason County and any claims that Mr. Ferris may have or may allege against Mason County. Yes.
So do you want to have it removed or no? Okay, perfect. Any other questions or items for removal for a separate deliberation? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of the action agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the action agenda as presented. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Brings us to item number 9, other business for department heads and elected officials. Are there any department heads or elected officials that would like to address the commission? Dave would, actually.
Good job. Kill that time. Commissioner, go for it.
Though it goes against my better judgment, Dave, if you wouldn't mind getting up and discussing our transition to online permitting, which is now up and running, as well as the legislative ask for public health.
And why is the sky blue? Please.
We all love
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Yeah, thanks. So, good morning, Dave Wyndham, Mason County Community Services. So I'll start off with probably the easier one, which is our transition to SmartGov. So in the past, we've had a software called Tidemark, which is no longer supported. We had to move to new software. We put those out for requests for proposals. We selected SmartGov, which is based out of Poulsbo. We've had really good support from SmartGov, in that they're in the office all the time. They've been really good with that. We've had some hiccups and bumps with the migration of the data from the old system to the new system. It's just millions of documents to pull over. So there have been some hiccups there. And it's different software for staff in that it's not like upgrading from Microsoft 2010 to 2016. It's a completely different way of doing the permitting. So they're going through it right now. The staff is coming up to speed on the in-house software. Soon we'll open the public portal so people will be able to do their permits online, especially those that we would typically issue at the counter. So window permits and heating systems, those sorts of things, decks, all that kind of stuff. Normally, same-day service at the counter can be done online. So we are putting in place the financial pieces to go with that. And right now, this first month is going through all those things to make sure that at the end of the month, they all balance the same as they would have for the people. So we're going to do kind of double entry this month to make sure it all washes out. On the public health funding side, you see I'm wearing my button, public health is essential button. For the past 7 years, we've been working on a project called Foundation of Public Health, where we took all the things that can be done in public health, which, I mean, public health used to cut toenails for elderly people. So all the things public health could do, we narrowed that down to what does public health have to do. Is it population-based? Is it required by law? That's probably a foundational thing. And is it something that we do that no one else is paid to do? So, for example, disease investigation. It's not something you can tag a price tag to someone because they got sick, bad water, bad food. So we narrowed those things down. We've studied those now for about 7 years. We put the dollar amounts to what we're doing and what we would take to do it correctly if it was funded from the state. And it's a really big number. It's a $450 million number. It's what it takes to actually do public health in the state of Washington. We didn't ask for that. We asked for $296 million in the governor's budget. And of that budget, the governor came back with $22 million as his response to public health. Now, in that $22 million, 15 of it was already being directed to public health. So the additional amount of money amounts to about $1 per person in the state of Washington. So last week we met and said that's probably not going to really fulfill our needs. And as the chair of the state organization, we got everybody together and talked about that. So what's a more reasonable ask? So we're going to ask for $100 million. We have a very specific set of things we're looking to pay for. So we can show the legislature, for this amount of money, this is what you buy. And should you want to scale that back, these are the things that will drop off and so it's a very organized, very deliberate ask of the legislature. And know that we're competing against behavioral health and homelessness. I mean, there's all these big asks in the legislature, so we're standing to their workload. I'm sure they would appreciate it. But it's important for public health in that there are things that we're required to do that we're not getting done because we simply don't have the funding.
Okay.
That answers your question.
Wow. Yes.
To an extent.
Yeah.
All right.
Smart now?
Yeah, SmartGov's not fun.
No,
We're fun.
No, but what do we do with it?
What do we do with it?
No, what are we doing new? What?
Oh, what's it doing new?
Yeah,
Oh,
you still got time.
okay. I see on the floor. Okay, so SmartGov gives us the ability to do things. If you were to think of the old system kind of as a DOS-based system, it wasn't, but it was kind of along those lines. It's 20-year-old software. This new software is very database-driven, and it gives us the ability to track and report on parcels in a variety of ways. We can be very creative on how we pull the reports. So it's going to give us the ability to give the public a lot more information with a lot less effort. In fact, once we get the public portal open, the public will be able to come in and look at building permits. They'll be able to look at parcel details. Especially for real estate and development, there's a lot of great information that's going to be. We're going to add to that some work that we're doing on tax-exempt wells. So where are all the wells in the county? And as you go forward, we're required to by the legislature, but as we look back, the ecology website's not very clear, so we're going to see if we can pull the information from ecology and update our own county system so we actually know what's out there. It's a good system. It actually, the reporting, I love the reporting features because that's the data nerd guy. Staff's still working with the permitting piece of it because it is a little bit slower in its process, but they'll come up to speed with that. So.
Great. Very good. Thanks, Dave. Off the hot seat.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I want to throw a little word in for our director there. We just attended a legislative send-off this morning, and it was funny to watch him. He's constantly working his position, working his job. He walks up to Senator Sheldon and gives him a button, and the senator says, "Oh, a button." And what was funny is it was all set up because he knew he was going to do something like that. And he says, yeah, but what it is it's about local. And he starts going into the difference between the bigger view of it and focusing on the local aspects of it. And Tim sat there with a big smile and listened to it. He was being lobbied the whole time. It was wonderful. So I wanted to point out that he was very successful with that.
No days off, Dave. No days off. Item number 10 is our public hearing. As you know, we can't go into a public hearing until the appointed time, which is 9:30, so we still have a few minutes. Without objection, I'd like to move on to item number 11, which is our board reports and calendar. Begin with Commissioner Netherland, followed by Commissioner Trask, and then I'll finish up.
Okay. Of course, we had our vacation time. We did different meetings and took in different things over the last several weeks, but we double-checked we did not bump into each other, so we have nothing to disclose on that. I did have a left board meeting. I met with Mason Transit Authority manager, attended the Workforce Housing Summit, and special thank you to the Chambers of Commerce, the EDC, and Peninsula Credit Union, and a pat on the back to Commissioner Schutte, who represented the county up there on that board. He did a wonderful job in the explanations that he gave, and he wore the most fantastic socks of the night. They were pretty awesome. We also had our briefings. We had our legislative send-off this morning, of which we all attended. After this, I'm going to be meeting with the MTA director. We have an opioid stakeholder meeting. I will be attending an ORCA meeting. I have the board of directors for the EDC. Funny thing about that EDC, they have a different mechanism for setting their dates. And it started off that I had one EDC meeting, then over the years I picked up to where there's always 2 on there, and asked them to correct it, and there ended up being 3. And then they said they wiped everything clean and stuff, and I looked on my calendar this morning, I now have 4. So we're doing good, but so I definitely know I have a meeting that morning. There's no doubt about it. I also have a board of directors meeting for the ARC. Grapeview is having a meeting for the Watchdogs. This is that organization where they come into the schools, they work with the students, the teachers, work with them out in the playground area at lunch, giving these children an opportunity to have somebody to mentor and work with individually. It's a wonderful program. It's really taken off up in North Mason, and it's having some very, very, very positive effects, and I'm very proud of it. I've had the honor to do some of it. I'm going to try and attend the one for Grapeview to see if we can help talk about some of the benefits and some of the ways that we can help those kids some more. Trails End Potluck briefing, and then the WIRA 15 meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner.
Not busy at all, are you?
This is a slow week.
Well, the past few weeks, I've been able to meet with department heads and elected officials, and continuing that today, I'll be meeting with the prosecutor's office and Public Works, and then Wednesday with the Superior Court and the Treasurer's office, and then again the Superior Court. That'll be fun. And then this weekend, we just had a baby, a new grandbaby, and so I'll be spending some time with them. And then Monday again the briefing. So my calendar is full of getting up to date on everything, and looking forward to working with all the other department heads and the other elected officials at least.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. A couple items from last week, as Commissioner Netherland mentioned, the Workforce Housing Summit that was hosted by Peninsula Credit Union and Jim Morrell. It was really a fantastic day to bring folks together to talk about a critical issue. A lot of our work is focused on homelessness and low-income housing, which is critical as well, but there's this sort of gap in services and opportunities for middle-income or working-class folks as well. And so this was I think it was a really productive day, not just from the ability to hear from speakers that are working on housing issues, but for people in our community to come together and brainstorm and network and talk about what they're doing in their particular areas. And so I really think that this was the beginning of an important conversation here in Mason County as we continue to work to address those housing issues that affect people across the housing spectrum. Also want to give some credit to the North Mason Chamber, EDC, and Shelton Mason Chamber for their legislative send-off this morning that we were all in attendance at. We have a group of legislators who are committed to really committed to our community and putting projects that will help spur economic development in Mason County at the forefront. And so Representatives Griffey and McEwen and Senator Sheldon understand the importance of projects, in particular in North Mason, when we talk about Belfair, when it comes to the State Route 3 freight corridor, when it comes to the sewer expansion into the Puget Sound Industrial Corridor. We really do have tremendous advocates working for us in Olympia, and I know that we're going to be working those issues hard with them this session as that gets underway next week. So just it was good to hear from them what their priorities are, and it's nice when we talk about infrastructure, it's nice when their priorities are aligned with ours. It makes it a little bit easier. So appreciate their time this morning. Going forward, after today's meeting, I'll be meeting with Loretta Swanson and Evan Bowder from the Mason Conservation District, Loretta, of course, from our County Public Works, to continue conversations around the road projects and the habitat restoration projects in the Skokomish Valley. We're in the middle of a lot of rain, and it just highlights again how critical these projects are to folks out in that community. And so we're continuing to work on how we, again, ask the legislature to fulfill their obligations to provide the remaining dollars to go along with the federal investment that we've gotten, which is just over $15 million from the federal government to do these projects that really benefit folks that live out in that community, as well as restoring salmon habitat. I also have a meeting this afternoon with Danette Brandon from Mason Transit. I have a MaceCom board meeting. I will also be at the opioid stakeholder meeting tomorrow. Later this week, I have RIA 14 watershed planning meeting. Have orientation with the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization, and then an agenda setting meeting with that organization as well. I'm back Monday for briefings and our meeting on Tuesday. And with that, we have crossed over the 9:30 time here, so we can move on to item number 10, which is our public hearing to consider the approval of the following budget supplemental appropriation to the 2018 budget. Budget transfer of $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350. Other long-term debt issued, an $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350 building in order to record the purchase and assume the loan on the Olson building. And with that, I will ask staff to come forward and brief.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a public hearing of Jennifer Byerly, Mason County School Services. This is a public hearing to consider the approval of the following special budget supplemental appropriation to the 2018 budget. $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350, other long-term debt issued, and $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350 building in order to record the purchase and assume the loan on the Olson building. Are there any questions on this budget supplemental?
Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay, any questions from members of the public for staff? Okay, hearing no questions, we'll move into the public comment period. If there are any members of the public that would like to come make comment on this item, please come forward to the podium and the chair will recognize you. Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and close the public comment portion of this and move on to Commissioner deliberation and a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move for the approval of the following budget supplemental appropriations to the 2018 budget. A budget transfer, $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350, other long-term debt issued, $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350 building in order to record the purchase and assume the loan on the Olson building.
Moved and seconded to approve the $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350, other long-term debt issued, $825,000 increase to REIT 1 Fund 350 building in order to record the purchase and assume the loan on the Olson building. Is there any other discussion? I would just add that this is more or less a housekeeping item that was requested by the State Auditor's Office as we complete the purchase and transfer of the Olson Furniture Building for use as a court facility. And so this was at the State Auditor's Office request that we're finishing this here in 2019 for the 2018 budget. If there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And the motion carries. With that, moves us to item number 12. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second that.
Moved and seconded that we adjourn. Without objection, we will stand adjourned.